Hi everyone, today we're going to cover one of the most famous games in chess history, if not the most famous game. This game was played with engine-like accuracy before people could even fathom the idea of an engine existing. This game was played in the Opera House in Paris, hence the name Opera Game, and its protagonist was the American legend Paul Morphy. If you don't know him, he was essentially the best player in the 19th century, beating almost everyone. And his opponents, I emphasize, were because there were two opponents, were Duke Gall and Count Issoire. I think I pronounced that correctly. So, without further ado, let's go. Paul Morphy had white pieces and opened the game with the move pawn to e4, e5 by black, knight f3, now d6. So this move is not really recommended because essentially all it does is, it defends the pawn, but you just give white the center. And there are two approaches. One approach is to stronghold d5 to keep the position closed, and the other one is to also just take on d4 simply and open the position. One thing they do not play is to move bishop to g4, and rightly so, because outplay takes. And if you want to take the pawn back immediately, you see this pin, right? You see this pin? Well, you don't anymore because I take on d8. Now, if your king takes, there is no pin anymore, so I take on e5, I'm hitting the bishop, I'm hitting the pawn, and I'm cruising. So after d takes e5, black has to take on f3. And after queen takes, you do manage to get your pawn back, but I just gained an amazing lead in development. I'm threatening literally checkmate. I have to defend it. And the difference between this and the scholar's mate is that you're not getting in the way of your knight, for example, to going to f3. You're just simply developing. Now the 6 is now queen b3. You just knock on the door from the, for example, if you just knock on the front door, they do not answer, so you go to the back door, and you see, you just try your luck there. Now, the pawn on f7 is actually threatened, so you gotta play queen e7. And, not to mention the pressure on b7, but here, Paul Morphy played knight c3, so we say, why didn't you just simply take on b7? You're gonna win a rook, man. You're gonna win a rook, man. But the problem is that black is a miracle move. Queen to b4 check. Forcing a trade of queens, and after bishop takes, you do not lose your rook, you just only lose a pawn. But Morphy wanted more than that. He was a maximalist and played knight c3. Now there is no queen b4 check ever, so the pawn on b7 is genuinely threatened, so c6 is played, and now bishop g5. See, simple developing moves have gotten every piece into the game. Now this queen is in front of this guy, and the king requires a few moves to just castle, simply. And I just perhaps just gotta get my king out of the way, get my king out of the way and get the rooks in. Well, here black, rather than playing, what is happening? Rather than playing, like, for example, developing the knight or trying to develop the bishop or kicking the bishop on g5, decided to play the atrocious move b5. This is crazy. Like, you're gonna develop your pieces, man. Really unprincipled. And the thing is that these moves many times get played in low elo chess, but people just do not know how to how to take advantage of it. For example, a move like bishop d3 would just simply bring the advantage to 0. It says black is even better here, which is unfathomable, I gotta say, because like you simply just get your knight over here and here. However, you have to actually go on very, very radical measures. You gotta play what Morphy played, knight takes b5. Amazing move, beautiful. You get a knight for 2 pawns, you've got a great lead in development, and this king is a big problem. The knight goes to defend, and I just castle long. I've essentially got my king out of the center while threatening this thing. I'm threatening to take on d7 because this knight is not actually defending because it's pinned, right? You don't want to take, if I take your knight, you kind of take it with your other knight because your queen is going to be lost. So, there goes to d8, developing. Very good, but it's too little too late. Now, you would see, okay, this rook is out of the game. We need to bring it into the game and fast because we've sacrificed a piece. So what do? We sacrifice the rook. Rook takes d7. Amazing. It's not that amazing, I'm gonna say. The knight, of course, doesn't want to take because the queen goes, and the queen doesn't want to take because the queen goes, and the king doesn't want to take because the king is just simply captured. So, rook takes. And now the rook is simply pinned, and I play rook to d1. So you see, in the span of just 1 or 2 moves, I got this rook, which was very inactive, and traded off for this knight. Amazing, right? And now, we will just take on this d7 square whenever you want it, and black, realizing that this is actually threatened again, moved his queen out of the way. This pin was very, very gruesome and pain in the arse, I gotta say. And now offers a trade of the queens. Now, well, we just simply first take on d7, and now the justification of black's last move. Knight takes on d7, but this move is losing. Even you can even do bad moves in such a horrendous position. And here Paul Morphy played queen takes e6 check. Just kidding. He sacrifices queen to b8 check. This is the icing on the cake. You essentially sacrifice your knight, your rook, and now your queen. Amazing. And you just sneak on the back door. The king doesn't have anywhere to go. The knight has to take. And now I give you the kiss of death. D8 checkmate. See, there's only 2 pieces for white, but that's all it takes for a checkmate. And this mate pattern with a rook, jumping onto the 8th rank, supported by the bishop, cutting off the escape square, is known as the opera mate. Inspired of this game, of course. Yeah, amazing. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, perhaps learned something from it, maybe got inspired to play some games yourself, and maybe lose some elo, maybe gain some elo. You probably will lose a lot, but I don't know. I also would recommend to you this video I have got. It's also an amazing video. That is debatable, but an amazing game from Kasparov, which was played, an amazing one. I gotta say, even better than this one. So thanks for watching so far. Take care of yourself, and see you later.